The rain hadn't stopped for hours. It beat down on the cracked sidewalk like drums of warning, and Marcus pulled his old hoodie tighter around his head as he stepped out of the small corner store. In his hands, a loaf of bread, a carton of milk, and 2 apples, just enough to stretch dinner for him and his 6-year-old son, Elijah. Money was always tight, but they made it work. He worked nights at the local garage and took odd jobs during the day. As he turned the corner toward their building, he saw her. The girl, no older than 16, soaked from head to toe, was sitting on the curb, arms wrapped around her knees, shivering. Her clothes were too clean to be homeless, but her face, her eyes had seen something. Marcus paused. He looked around. No car nearby. No one watching. She didn't fit into the neighborhood, and that made it all the more concerning. "Hey," he said gently, stepping closer. "You all right?" She flinched but didn't speak. He crouched down, trying not to scare her. "You need help? Somewhere to go." The girl looked up at him, her lips trembling. I just need a place to stay for the night. Please. I don't want trouble." Marcus hesitated. He had no idea who she was or why she was here, but there was fear in her voice, the kind he recognized from nights when he'd had nowhere to go himself. "All right," he said finally, "but just for the night. My kid's at home, so you'll need to be respectful." She nodded quickly. "I will. Thank you." They walked in silence through the rain. Marcus kept stealing glances at her. She wasn't dressed flashy, but her shoes were designer. And her watch, that didn't look cheap. Inside the apartment, Elijah came running, hugging his dad's leg. "Daddy, you're back." The girl smiled faintly, wiping water from her face. "Elijah," Marcus said. "This is—" He turned to the girl. "Claire," she whispered. "My name's Claire." None of them knew it then, but that one rainy night would change their lives forever. Marcus laid out a towel and handed Claire one of Elijah's spare T-shirts and sweatpants. "They might be a little short, but they're dry," he said with a shrug. Claire nodded, clutching the clothes tightly. "Thank you. Really." While she changed in the bathroom, Marcus warmed up a can of soup and sliced the bread. Elijah sat at the small kitchen table, swinging his legs and staring at the bathroom door. "Who is she, Daddy?" he asked. Marcus sighed. "Just someone who needed help tonight, buddy. That's all." When Claire emerged, her wet hair tied back and Marcus's borrowed clothes hanging loose on her frame, she looked softer, younger, but her eyes were still guarded, still scanning every corner of the tiny apartment like she expected danger to burst through the walls. She sat quietly at the table, whispering a thank you as she dipped the bread into the soup. "You run away?" Marcus asked after a long silence, his voice low. Claire froze. The spoon in her hand paused midair that he didn't press. After a few moments, she nodded. "From your parents?" he asked again, gentler this time. Another nod, this one slower. "All right," Marcus said. "Not my business. But you should know. If they're looking for you, the cops might come around. You sure you want to be here?" Claire looked him in the eye for the first time that night. "They won't call the police. Trust me." That sentence hung in the air like smoke, heavy and confusing. Marcus didn't like mysteries, but he knew desperation. He'd lived it, and something about Claire's voice told him she wasn't just some rebellious teenager sneaking away from a big house. Elijah, unaware of the tension, offered her an apple. She took it with a shaky smile. Later that night, Marcus set up a blanket and pillow on the couch. "You'll be safe here," he said. "We don't have much, but nobody's going to hurt you under my roof." Claire's eyes welled with tears, but she blinked them away fast. "Thank you," she whispered again. As Marcus turned off the light, he couldn't shake the feeling that Claire was hiding more than just a bad argument with her parents. And upstairs, in a mansion just miles away, Claire's disappearance had already made headlines. But Marcus wouldn't know that until morning. Marcus woke early, his body trained by years of hard labor and early shifts. He moved quietly through the kitchen, careful not to wake Elijah or Claire. But as he reached for the coffee pot, he noticed the couch was empty. His heart jumped. He turned and found Claire sitting by the window, knees tucked under her chin, watching the city wake up. "You sleep at all?" he asked softly. "A little," she replied without turning. "Your couch is more comfortable than you'd think." Marcus leaned against the counter. "You planning to head out today?" Claire finally looked at him. Her eyes were tired but calmer. "I don't know yet. It's not safe out there. And I don't have anywhere to go." He studied her face again, the same guarded expression, the same haunted look. He still didn't know her story, but he could tell she hadn't just run from a strict household. Something deeper was buried behind those eyes. "Elijah's school starts in an hour. I gotta drop him off and get to the garage." Marcus said, "You can stay here, but I'll lock the door from outside. No visitors. No funny business." "Understood." Claire nodded quickly. "Understood." When Elijah appeared half asleep and rubbing his eyes, Claire smiled at him. "You gonna come back tonight?" Elijah asked her shyly as they got ready. "I think so," she said, "if it's okay with your dad." Marcus didn't respond, but he didn't object either. After they left, Claire stood in the middle of the quiet apartment, staring at the faded family photos on the wall. Marcus and Elijah, smiling in every picture. Simple, honest. It felt foreign to her. Her phone buzzed. It had been off all night, but now the screen flashed with dozens of missed calls. Dad, home, driver, even private investigator. Her stomach twisted. She powered off again. Meanwhile, at the garage, Marcus wiped sweat from his brow and thought about Claire. Something didn't sit right. Her clothes, that watch, the way she spoke, too refined, too polished. Back at home, Claire opened her backpack and pulled out a velvet pouch. Inside, a necklace, real diamonds, a gift she'd hidden away, the only thing she'd taken with her. She held it tightly in her fist and whispered to no one, "You don't owe me any more." And somewhere across town, her father was preparing to unleash everything he had to find her. Because Claire wasn't just a runaway. She was the only daughter of Robert Langston, one of the wealthiest men in the country. By the time Marcus returned home that evening, Elijah was already bouncing with excitement. "Claire helped me with my homework, Daddy, and she made grilled cheese, like the real kind, not the burnt kind you make." Marcus raised an eyebrow as he stepped inside. Claire was sitting at the table, wearing Elijah's oversized hoodie now, sleeves dangling past her hands. She looked almost normal, like a teenager again. "Hope you don't mind," she said sheepishly. "I wanted to help." He nodded slowly, long as the place didn't burn down. But he was still wary. He'd seen enough in his life to know when someone was running for more than just a scolding. And Claire, for all her quiet politeness, was a storm beneath the surface. Later, as Elijah dozed off in his room, Marcus sat on the couch while Claire dried dishes beside him. "You ready to tell me what's going on?" he asked finally. Claire paused, plate in hand, back turned to him. "I'm not who you think I am," she said. "I didn't think you were." She set the plate down carefully, then walked to the couch, sitting across from him. "My name is Claire Langston. My dad owns Langston Enterprises. You've probably seen his face on magazines or something. He's powerful, obsessively powerful." Marcus blinked. He'd heard the name. Anyone who'd watched the news had. Real estate, airlines, even hospitals. The Langstons were a dynasty. "I ran away because he tried to send me off to some elite boarding school in Switzerland," she continued. "Not for my education, but to control me, keep me away from everything I care about." Marcus folded his arms. "You're saying you're a millionaire's daughter, and you're hiding in my living room?" Claire nodded. "I needed to disappear, just for a while, to think, to breathe. And you chose the South End to do that." It's the only place he'd never think to look. Marcus exhaled, rubbing his jaw. "You do realize that man's probably got half the city looking for you." Claire's eyes dropped. "I know. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have dragged you into this." He looked at her, really looked and saw the truth. She wasn't lying. She was scared, trapped in a life that glittered on the outside but suffocated from within. "You've got one more night," Marcus said firmly. "But after that, we figure something out. You can't keep hiding forever." Claire nodded, grateful, but also terrified. because she knew her father didn't give up. And if he found her here, no one would be safe. That night, Marcus barely slept. He kept replaying Claire's words, trying to convince himself she wasn't bringing danger into his home. But the truth was she already had. And he knew exactly what kind of men surrounded someone like Robert Langston. Powerful, ruthless, and untouchable. A.T. dawn. While the city was still quiet, Claire stood at the window again, watching the sun rise over the rooftops. Marcus joined her, coffee in hand. "I should go today," she said softly. "I don't want to get Elijah involved in any of this." Marcus nodded, but didn't look at her. "You got somewhere safe to go?" She hesitated. "No, not really." He let out a breath. "I don't have much, but I got friends. Folks who owe me favors. Maybe we can find somewhere they won't look." Claire turned to him, eyes wide. "You do that for me?" "You helped my boy with homework and didn't burn my kitchen down," he said with a smirk. "That counts for something." Just then, a knock echoed at the door. Loud, firm. Claire froze. Marcus raised a hand, signaling her to stay quiet. He moved to the door slowly, peering through the peephole. A man in a tailored suit stood outside. Behind him, two more tall earpieces, black SUVs parked at the curb. Marcus didn't open the door. "Mr. Green," the man called. "My name is Thomas Beck. I represent the Langston family. We believe someone very important to them may be in danger. We'd appreciate your cooperation." Marcus stayed silent, heart pounding. "Claire," the man continued, voice louder now, "if you're inside, please know we're not here to harm you. Your father is worried. He's offering a reward. We can help you." Claire backed away, tears in her eyes. "He found me." Marcus stepped away from the door, locking it quickly. "Back room. Now." Claire nodded, running down the hallway. Outside, the knocking resumed. More urgent now. "Open up, Mr. Green. We know she's inside." Marcus stood still, fists clenched. He had nothing to offer but a worn apartment and a promise he made to a scared girl. But that would have to be enough, because sometimes being a father, even to someone else's child, meant standing between them and the storm. The pounding on the door grew louder. Elijah stirred in his room, rubbing his eyes, confused by the noise. Claire crouched behind Marcus's bedroom door, hands shaking, heart slamming against her ribs. "Mr. Green," the voice outside warned, colder now. "Refusal to cooperate may result in legal consequences." Marcus stood tall, unmoved. "She's not a criminal," he called back. "She's just a kid." A pause. Then the voice replied, calm but sharp. "That child belongs to a very powerful man, and he doesn't like when people hide what's his." Marcus flinched. The word belong echoed in his mind like poison. Nobody belongs to anyone, especially not a child. He turned and walked to Claire's hiding spot. "They can't legally force their way in," he whispered. "But that doesn't mean they won't try something shady." Claire's face was pale. "I didn't mean for this to happen." "I know," he said, "but it has, so we deal with it." Suddenly, his old flip phone buzzed. He answered. "Marcus Green?" a sharp female voice asked. "This is Detective Haley Jameson with the NYPD. I've been contacted by the Langston security team. They claim you're harboring a runaway minor. Care to explain?" Marcus clenched his jaw. "She came to me soaking wet and scared. I gave her food and a couch. That's not a crime." "Maybe not," the detective said. "But if she's underage and refusing to return to legal guardians, that could be complicated. Can I speak to her?" Marcus glanced at Claire, then passed the phone. Claire took it slowly, pressing it to her ear. "Detective, I'm not in danger. My father is a danger. He controls everything. He's trying to ship me away again, isolate me. I just wanted to breathe." There was silence on the other end. Then the detective said, "Claire, if what you're saying is true, you'll need to file for a protective order. But you'll have to come in. You can't stay hidden forever." After the call ended, Marcus looked at her. "You sure about this?" Claire wiped her eyes. "I think I need to stop running." By evening, Marcus drove her to precinct in his old truck, Elijah waving goodbye from the window. And while cameras swarmed and headlines screamed, millionaire's daughter found hiding in mechanic's home, Marcus stayed silent. He didn't want fame. He didn't want credit. He just wanted her to be safe. And weeks later, when Claire returned, not as a runaway, but as a young woman with her own voice, she brought something with her, not money, but family, the kind she'd never had, until a stranger opened his door on a rainy night.